Hey everyone, Jack Reeve, Chris Reeve, TalkNorwichCity, reacting to what we've just seen at Carrow Road, and as you can see by Chris's facial reactions there, unfortunately we're talking about another defeat. Not as comprehensive as Friday night's clash against Southampton, but nonetheless it was. Well, we never really got going, did we? I mean, we'll wait for a few people to come in. Thank you to everyone who's commenting already, whether you're on YouTube or watching through Twitter. If you are watching through Twitter, it might be easier to go over to YouTube. It's up to you. Chris, how are you?
Mate, I am so angry right now. I am like unbelievably angry. I cannot fathom not starting your three most creative players. I cannot fathom Andre Duda staying on the pitch for as long as he did. I cannot fathom taking off your man of the match. I'm so disappointed. I'm so frustrated. And look, we said it before the game, Jack. It was a big call from Daniel Farke to make those changes to the team. But I'm afraid to say it was abysmal, and it was what we had feared would happen. Such a pathetic goal to concede tonight, Jack. Some people are blaming man marking. Some people are blaming Andre Duda for not following the run. Some people are blaming the fact that we were just so sloppy defensively. Just again, not the races tonight. And I think the fat lady is probably starting her first verse.
Oh no, I think she's in full flight now. She's singing at the top of her voice. No, you know what? I was chatting to you during the game on WhatsApp and chatting to a few other people and going off the mood off Twitter. And of course, the goal that we conceded was disappointing. We haven't been able to defend set pieces all season. I don't think that's any news to me. What's really hurt me over the past two performances is the complete lack of effort, is the complete lack of application, and I see that team selection tonight is insulting. It is an insult, a complete insult to Norwich City fans who had genuine faith that we might survive this season. To drop Timu Pukki, Emi Buendia and Todd Cantwell, 17 out of the 25 goals that we've scored this season in a must-win Premier League football match is insulting. I'm not having any other debate whether it was resting them for the FA Cup or not. Even with the team that we put out there, it should have been better than that. Everton were there for the taking first half. We've seen in all of the Premier League games so far this season that a lot of the teams have been slow to start. There haven't been too many goals in first halves. And it was just lacking in tempo. I mean, I was regularly getting up and going to the kitchen to make myself a cup of tea, knowing that I'm not going to miss anything. It's a disgrace, Chris. It's awful.
We have one shot on target all game,
and that was at the keeper,
Lucas Rupp. One shot on target in the first half. It's so not good enough. And what's frustrating is individually, you look at the players that we've got. We've got Tim Krul, fantastic goalkeeper, proper goalkeeper. Max Aaron and Jamal Lewis, one of the, couple of really highly rated, wing backs that we've got. You look at Ben Godfrey, who is, a young up and coming rising star, supposedly. You've got Todd Cantwell, who's been one of the, highlights of the Premier League season in terms of what he's given, and he's not started. Timu Pukki taking the league by storm at the start, and just I'm so angry and frustrated and fed up. I'm fed up of it. And what I'm frustrated with today, Jack, is I'm sure Daniel Farke will come out in his press conference and give a good speech. But I really hope to God that he takes some responsibility for this. He needs to take some responsibility for this, Jack. I've got so much love and respect for Daniel Farke for what he's done for this football club on the limited budget that he's had, winning the league last season. But to put that team out today, and if you don't beat Man United in the cup, by the way, you've got another thing coming, because all the pressure's on that now. I'm so frustrated. And Duda, honestly, and you know me, Jack, I find it really difficult and hard to pick on a player. Really hard. But for me, done. Norwich career over. I'm not having it. It's appalling. It's appalling. The performance tonight that he put in was one of the worst I've seen in a Norwich shirt. And I hate to say that. I really do, because I'm sure he's a nice guy. But my God. And how can Daniel Farke not see that? I'm stunned.
No, I agree, mate. And I saw Michael Bailey, which just added salt to the wounds, tweet during the game that we'd spent £6 million, just short of £6 million in agent fees. Now, the majority of that would have been on Roop, on Duda, on Amadou. And what did he contribute tonight? I've just seen a comment, and thank you to everyone who's commenting. We'll try and show a lot of them during this reaction, so please do keep commenting, whether that's on YouTube or Twitter. Let's see. Yeah, Freddie says, clearly Farke has accepted that we're going down, prioritising the cup by the looks of it. Do we honestly think, have our standards dropped that much that we are accepting relegation? We were always up against it. No, we were up against it. Let me speak here, because we know we were up against it. We had Stuart Webber on the start of the season, and he said it was 38 free hits. And to a certain extent, I agree. And I think Norwich City fans are happy that we are up against it and we are underdogs. What Norwich City fans cannot accept, well, I can't, I'm not speaking for everyone here, but I think probably the vast majority is I want to see application. And I'm not seeing that, Chris. I'm not seeing it. And to drop your three best players in a must-win game, as I said, is insulting.
I'll tell you what we've seen tonight, Jack. I'll tell you exactly what we've seen. We've seen a group of players that are no longer playing for the manager. It's as simple.
Really?
Jack, you cannot tell me when those boys go in at half time, if your manager is kicking over the trolley and you come on, Jack, come on. You're telling me that those 11 players on the pitch didn't pull it out for Daniel Farke. What is that? I mean, mate, we did nothing. We did absolutely jack shit. It's an embarrassment. The players that we have got in this squad are good enough to stay up. I believe that. Individually, they've got the talent. Why are they not gelling? I don't understand. Tactically, complete switch in mentality. Josip Drmic starting again tonight. Duda kept on when he's had a shocker, taking off your man of the match, Anel Hernandez, who was the most creative, dangerous player on the pitch. What is going on? I can't fathom it. And when the players go for their water break, what are you seeing? Are you seeing a group of players that's looking at the manager for instruction, that's believing in what the manager's saying? They're not believing in what the manager's saying. They're taking orders, Jack. It's a piss take.
I tell you, if I'm Daniel Farke tonight, I'm pulling Lucas Roop, I'm pulling Duda, and I'm pulling Josip Drmic aside, and I'm saying to them, you're not playing again for the rest of the season. I've given you a massive opportunity. I've taken out my 3 stars to giving you an opportunity when arguably they didn't deserve an opportunity. They haven't given performances that have warranted an opportunity against Everton in the Premier League that we've worked so hard to get towards, and put in a performance lacking in such quality. Duda, and I know, this has always been my pet hate, but not beating a man from a corner is a simple task. You beat the first man. That's all you do. And you know what I'm seeing? No one's having a pop at Duda. It's like our standards have dropped to a new low, that we're accepting averageness out there. And there's a Norwich fan who wants to see the best out of these players and who cares dearly for them. It really hurts me. It does. We've sat through many defeats this season, and few have hurt as much as these past 2. You
know what, Jack? I think that the team and the manager have let the fans down beyond belief. Now, what more motivation have you got than the fact that all of your fans are at home watching this on national television, BBC? We're on the BBC, and you can't. I don't understand.
I think that's what sums it up perfectly. Is Gary Lineker at halftime? He was laughing. He was laughing. Him, Dion Dublin, and Tim Cahill were laughing at what they'd just seen. And you know what? I would have been the same. I was sat on my sofa at halftime wondering what I'd just witnessed. It was appalling. And this comment here from Robin Kay, I think, sums it up nicely. We only remember the good bits. We kid ourselves. We need to return to the reality world where we've won 5 games all season and ever so often forgetting how to defend. Look, I agree. We are, we were blinded by the wonderful performance against Manchester City, the performance against Newcastle under that basking sun with Timu Pukki scoring goals. We've won 3 games since that point. And for a Premier League team who are apparently the best Premier League team to be relegated it's an insult to the Premier League because there have been far better teams to be relegated, I can assure you.
I'm really trying hard not to, swear and get angry, but I just feel so let down. We've got, some excellent players in there. What is it that lets you down, Chris? Because I know you're a positive fan, and I think we all knew that this season was going to be an uphill battle from the very start. But I haven't seen you as deflated as this. Because we are playing at home, and we put 1 shot on target, Jack. 1 shot on target, Jack, at home. And by the way, I hope to God that no one ever slags off the supporters ever again. How dare you? Because what a difference those Norwich fans make when we're there, by the way. Because today, I felt like, actually, without that injection of support from the fans, I didn't see it. I didn't see where were they? It's almost like we're on some sort of weird holiday. Don't you think? Don't you think it's almost like some sort of weird pre-season where we're living in this adverse universe where they don't realise that we're trying to fight for fucking relegate? We're trying to survive, Jack. It's not happening. Look, I'll really try and change my mentality already. The transfer business has been a flop, and Stuart Webber went out on Stuart Hodges' podcast, and to be fair to him, took accountability and responsibility and said, you know what, the business hasn't been good enough. But to be fair, very unlucky as well, mind. But I think that's been a crucial element of this season. So no matter how much we say Daniel Farke, and I can see people in the comments section now saying Farke out, Farke has to go. Look, I think Farke deserves to keep his job for sure. But I think we all need to realise that he has to take accountability and responsibility. If he comes out in the press conference tonight and tries to flip this on anyone but himself and the players, he'll lose a lot of respect from me.
Yeah, I agree. I've just put up DJ Cohn's comment. Good profile picture, that DJ. He says, Jack, do you think Farke's job should be under pressure? Look, I think we'd be very... would be misjudging things if we weren't to raise questions. I think, all fans are entitled to have opinions, and when you've won 5 games all season and you're way adrift at the bottom of the Premier League table, it would be wrong not to be questioning managers. But in my opinion, Farke is the man for the job. He's got us here. I think he's been let down from above. I think it's a very, very hard task to go into the Premier League and your record signing the biggest signing of the summer be £750,000. We saw out there today, Everton, absolute miles above us in terms of the amount of money they've spent. Not miles above us in terms of performance levels, which I guess is pleasing, but they strolled through it. They were never really under threat. I mean, I can't remember, as you say, we had 1 shot on target. I can't remember a real opportunity. Buendia went through on goal, but, Pickford was out quickly. It was just a really, really frustrating, saddening night. It was like, I don't know what it was like.
This was Fulham, Jack. This feels and tastes like Fulham, and I hate it. Of course, we love the ups, and this is all part of the Norwich journey of appreciating, these massive wins against Manchester City. Winning the league last season is phenomenal, and I'll be forever grateful for those boys for doing that. So they do deserve some time and respect to put it right next season for sure. But they have to take accountability and responsibility for their performance tonight. Because, again, regardless of it looking like we were more solid, to not play, I cannot fathom why you wouldn't play your most creative players when we've not been creating enough chances. Honestly, Jack, I hope and pray that, again, we look back at this video when we've won in the FA Cup quarter-final against Manchester United and we're through to Wembley. Because if we don't win that cup game, Jack, this was a mockery, an absolute mockery. I don't understand. Play your best team. Timu Pukki compared to...
I'm not being funny as well, Chris, right, is these players, these are professional athletes. If you're not telling me that they can play 2 games in a week, right, we did it throughout the whole of the Championship. We can play Pukki tonight and play him on Saturday. It's clear that he's fit. He came on the pitch. Emily Hayes asks on YouTube, thanks for commenting, Emily, and thanks for everyone who's watching. If you're watching on YouTube, then please do leave a like. It helps us out massively. She says, Friday I said relegation, but win the cup. Now I'm doubting we can do that. What do you guys think? Optimistic. Now, let's not forget here, I think we're all assuming that we've got a free ride in the FA Cup. We're up against the Manchester United side who've absolutely pumped Sheffield United this evening. They are very much a force to be reckoned with. We've lost at home. We lost away to them. It's not going to be easy against Manchester United. And I can tell you right now, if we put in a performance like we did tonight or like we did on Friday night against Southampton, I called the Southampton performance embarrassing. It's going to be even more embarrassing against Manchester United. If these players and Daniel Farke don't start to take responsibility and start to buck their ideas up, because, Chris, it's not good enough.
It's not, Jack. And, even if you blame injuries and blame your luck and blame VAR and you can blame everything all you want. But all I want as a fan right now is for the players and for the manager to take responsibility and accountability for the failure of this Premier League season, because they're good enough, Jack. I'm not having people say we've not got it. Like, there's been times where I've watched us this season, albeit in very short spells, where I've gone.
That's the thing, though, Chris. Is you don't stay in the Premier League because of 20-minute spells away at Burnley.
But we can play, Jack. And this is what's frustrating. You know deep down that we can play football. You know deep down that we can bring in the game to the opposition. But tonight, the only player that brought the game to the opposition was Anel Hernandez. Yeah, he looked brilliant in the first half. I was unbelievably impressed. I was chuffed that he started. So that was a good call from Daniel Farke, by the way. Give him credit for that.
I think sticking on, sorry to interrupt, but with Onel, he was good. But for me, he still didn't really connect across. He didn't have a shot on target.
He's playing on his own.
No, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. The standards are so low. Yeah, a player who doesn't connect across and doesn't have a shot on target suddenly lauded as some kind of god. I mean, it was hardly a Messi-like performance. I love Onel Hernandez. But the commentators were raving about it. I'm like, he's not doing anything. He looks impressive in this Norwich side because he's surrounded by players like Duda and Root who've seemingly forgotten what they're doing on the football pitches. Let's not let our standards drop to these lows, please. What
do you mean not let our standards drop, Jack? It's done. What do you mean don't let us sit? Our standards, we don't have standards anymore. Look at us. Look at the state of us, Jack. And I say state with hurt because I'm embarrassed. I'm honestly embarrassed. There's a comment on here which I really agree with, which I can't bring on that you can, from Jono Sincotta on YouTube, who says Anel was great, but he had no one to give the ball to. And Jono, I completely agree with that. And if Anel had Timu Pukki, making those stretching runs, Emi Buendia nipping him behind, Todd Cantwell providing that piece of magic, that flick, that twist, that turn, we didn't have that tonight. It just looks so readable all game long.
Yeah, no, I agree. Comment here from D-Jam. Hello, D-Jam. Hope you're well, mate. He says, what do we do for the remaining league games then, lads? If you were Farke, who would you play/drop? It's time to prepare for next season. Who is going to be here? Big questions ahead. Well, I think we've been preparing for next season from January when we signed Roop, who's clearly a championship player at best. If I was Daniel Farke, I'd simply be asking if they had any respect for him to just go out there and play in a manner that shows that they have any kind of care for Daniel Farke. If I'm, when I go to work, my performance represents my manager, right? My performance represents the people above me. And if I'm not putting in a performance, they're the ones who get the criticism. And I, at work, I have respect and I like my managers. So I try and do a good job every day. And the performance levels that we've dropped to in the past 2 games, the players will take criticism, but it's going to fall on Daniel Farke's feet. And considering what he's done for this football club, I'd simply be saying to them, just go out there and try, because it's evident that we're not to the levels that we have become used to.
Jack, you're so right, but this is a message that had to be said to the guys before this Premier League restart. We needed aggression, and we need someone. And I love Daniel Farke. Honestly, I keep saying it. I've got so much respect for him. I think he's he's a top up and coming manager. He really is. But if that message of fight for this football club hasn't been injected into the players' arms before kickoff in the Premier League restart, what's going on? I just don't understand. Like at half time, Jack, when you're fighting for survival, you go out all guns blazing, seriously, and it's just not happening. That message is not getting to the players. It's not coming across. They need a kick up the arse. They need an injection. But you've got to want to fight for. I don't see that fight coming from the players for the manager. I just don't see it. And I'm not blaming Daniel Farke. I'm not blaming the players either, by the way. But between the two of them, they need to sort the shit out, because someone needs to take responsibility for this. And someone needs to face up and say, no, you know what? I'm sure. And by the way, I'm sure there'll be some words exchanged in the changing room right now by the leaders in that changing room. But I don't think they'll be coming from the manager.
Can you remember when we lost 5-1 or 5-0 to Brighton? And this was 2016 maybe. And Russell Martin came out afterwards. And basically, it was one of the most frank and honest interviews I'd ever seen. He said he was embarrassed that his family were there. He'd let the fans down. That performance, I was there that day. And we spoke to Russ since. And, he said he had to be honest with the fans. When I saw Daniel Farke come out in the press on Wednesday and call the comments from fans, from journalists, whoever he was directing them comments at as arrogant and disrespectful, I found that quite hurtful, actually, because all successful managers, all successful people in life take responsibility of their actions. And if things aren't going right, they'll hold it on their shoulders, even when criticism isn't just right. And I find it really hurtful that he came out with them comments. Do you think it's arrogance from him, Jack? Sorry to interrupt, because for me, it's cliche. But a lot of people say, as soon as you start pointing fingers at supporters and journalists, it's game over.
It's not a good sign.
I'm not indicating that it's game over for Daniel Farke, because I don't.
No. It's game over last season and survival in the Premier League. And I think it's horrible. I
think he's got a really prosperous career ahead in general. I think he's still got work to do at Norwich. So I'm not saying that. I think they were very misinformed. I tell you what would be worse for Norwich City if Alfredo got his way and made Jack Reefer manager and Chris Reefer chairman.
I tell you what, that would be lively, wouldn't it? That would be lively. I tell you what, they'd certainly be fighting, but I'm not sure they'd be fighting for the club. I think they'd be fighting me and Jack.
Okay. All right. Let's discuss it for one final time here. This comes in from Cameron Gibbon. And he says, give Vrancic a proper opportunity. Bring him on. He was brought on in the 80th minute. Now, Chris, you've had very few criticisms of Daniel Farke this season, but throughout his tenure, you've always, I've had to rein you back at times. You've always hated the late substitutions. I mean, you have been, raging at times at Carrow Road when he's, brought on Josip Drmic in the 87th minute or whatever. But again, today, when you're 1-0 down and very much in the game still,
How many subs have we got? Albeit in certain time slots. Is it 6
5.
now? It's 5.
Yeah. 5
okay.
subs.
You got 5 subs. Okay, you go behind in the game. For me, when you're in a relegation battle, you need to be. Look, I'm not a football manager, so feel free. If anyone's qualified, feel free to drop down in the comments and shout me down here. But
Daniel, if you're watching,
I think it's important to be proactive and not reactive in games of football, Jack, especially at home. And there is a philosophy of Norwich City taking the game to the opposition. That is what Daniel Farke said when he first joined the football club, Jack, is I want to bring the game to the opposition. Look back at the Norwich City Football Club YouTube channel. That's exactly what Daniel Farke says. Okay. But we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not playing the Norwich way at the moment. We're going missing. And the whole Mario Vrancic thing is criminal. And I never thought I would be this person, Jack, but I'm going to say it. It's time to play the youngsters. And I never, you know what? This is the first time I say that because I can't stand it when people say that after one before.
We have been, haven't we?
But mate, but for now, Ida, start him 100%. Martins, get him playing more minutes, 100%. Because now I just can't see how these more supposedly experienced players they're just not doing it, Jack. They're not doing it.
No, definitely. No, I've just seen a comment here. It's disappeared now. Yeah, it was basically saying, and I was going to say it's one of the small positives today. I thought Tete was good again and shored things up a little, didn't he?
You say good, Jack, but you say good. And by the way, I agree. He was probably 6 out of 10 today. But he still doesn't bring the ball forwards. And I know that Tete's job is to make those challenges, and he did that, and to intercept the balls, and he did that. But in a relegation battle, you've got to be brave. When you pick up the ball, you've got to drive it forwards, Jack. And the only person driving that ball forwards tonight was Anel Hernandez until Emi Buendia was put on too late. And going back to you saying, you've had to held me back from saying Daniel Farke make your subs earlier, I think everyone that's listening and watching to this now would agree with me. It's blatant to make your changes earlier when you're in a relegation battle. But we've been in a relegation battle from the start of the season, Jack. Let's not kid ourselves, yeah? Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not pretend that we're going into Europe because we're fighting for survival. We have to put players on the pitch that are going to put in the impetus to drive the ball forward and try and take gambles. And this is what pissed me off, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I am. This is what annoyed me about the criticism of Josh and Jacob Murphy. People would say they always lose the ball. You, tonight, Anel Hernandez, the final product, this, and that. He's on the pitch to make calculated gambles, to try and penetrate the opposition's defence. That's what they're on the pitch to do. And you need players like that. And that's what pisses me off about people that don't like Todd Cantwell, that say Todd Cantwell gives it away all the time. You need players like that on the pitch because that's the difference in the Premier League. That talent, that magic. And we had it tonight, sitting on the Jeffrey Watling stand, sipping their bottle of bloody Bovril.
Yeah, no, it's true. I tell you who was good at carrying the ball forwards, Yannick Wilczka, but no one seemed to like it. No, it's true though. I watched Barcelona last night. I watched Barcelona last night for the first time in ages, and I'm always fascinated by the way that Messi plays. He'll play seven out of his 10 passes to the other team, right? But the 3 moments of brilliance change the game. And it's the same with Todd Cantwell. It's the same with them attacking players. You have to take risks in order to create something. And it was too lateral tonight. This is a good question from James Youngs. He asks, Duda was marketed as a set-piece specialist.
Nope.
See the YouTube clips. What was I watching tonight? I'll tell you what you were watching tonight, James. You were watching a lone player who has absolutely no interest in fighting for Norwich City survival. And you sometimes see it with loan signings. You always have a bit of a risk with a loan signing because you have the possibility of signing a loan player. I can't think of one off the top of my head who's coming in maybe from a lower league club with something to prove. They're wanting to prove something. Dean Henderson at Sheffield United, right?
Oh, don't bring him up.
You don't like him, but that was a good loan signing. He wanted to get into the Manchester United first team, so he went to Sheffield United to prove a point, and he's done very well there. Duda, on the other hand, has clearly come over because he can't get in the first team for his parent club, and I can see why now. And there's no... Look, we've said it before. We try not to use cliches, and I keep sounding like a cliche saying, oh, they lacked effort, oh, they lacked passion. Because I think it's a really simple and and not often correct kind of accusation to throw at players. But I think it's right with Duda. I don't see anything from him that can positively impact this side.
We look weak, Jack. We look weak all over the park. All over the park, we look weak. This
is a good suggestion from Abby Rose. Her brain's clearly working quicker than mine. Jordan Rhodes last season was a loan signing that worked. Yeah, there you go. There's a good loan signing that worked. Someone who got the club, got the culture surrounding the football club, and had an impact. I haven't seen that from Duda so far.
And look, I want to try and move on from Duda a little bit, because I know that Duda will know surely how abysmal he has been today. So let's move on from Duda now, because everyone knows that he had an absolute stinker, and he probably I would be, honestly, if Daniel Farke plays him anymore this season, I'm just going to be so frustrated, Jack, when you've got a player like Mario Vrancic sitting on the bench.
Oh, I agree, mate. I agree.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. And for all these blooming hipsters that are saying, oh, you don't have to hit the first man, you don't have to get over the first man in the corner. What are you talking about? It is the basics of football. And he didn't do it once. You know, once I can let off. Twice I'd be like, cool, blimey, dude, that's twice that you've done that now. But I'm pretty sure I counted 5 times that he hit the man from either a free kick or a corner tonight.
Yeah, free kicks as well. I know. There was one where, there was the one where he had the clear shot on goal and it just hit the wall, and then there was the one where he had the opportunity in a good crossing position, just flew it over. It was.
But yeah. I have to deflect, and I feel, and maybe I'm going to be criticised by this, and I want to try and be as level-headed as possible. I do want to try and defend Daniel Farke a little bit, because not only has he not had the resources in terms of the recruitment on the limited budget that we've had, but there's also been bugger all investment, right? It's an impossible job, more or less. It's more or less an impossible job for Norwich City to break in with the current budget that we've got. When you look at Aston Villa spending literally 30 million on one footballer, Jack. Like, it's just insane sorts of money. And also, and people will shout at me for this, but I don't care, you've got to remember that Daniel Farke hasn't had a fully fit team all season. And maybe this is a fitness thing. Maybe this is a sports science thing. I'd be really interested to get some comments on that, by the way, because we've not heard anything about that. Why have all of our players got injured this season? Why do all of our players look tired when they've had 3 months to prepare to blast like a greyhound on steroids? We've not had that.
The majority of the injuries have been muscle injuries as well, which is a worry. We've had people on the TNC podcast who've worked behind the scenes in sports science departments, and it's always the worry. They say if a team is regularly picking up muscle injuries rather than contact injuries, that's not ideal. And we talk there about the finances and not being able to compete budget-wise. And I've seen throughout all of these comments, it does come back to Delia. And whenever we're on a bit of a rut, Delia does come into question. And I guess if we want to progress, then yes, we do need external investment. But no, the grass sometimes isn't greener. And I know loads of people say that, and it has worked for Wolves and loads of people. It has worked where investment comes. But Norwich is a great club to support. We've got an identity, we've got a culture, and for a lot of clubs that isn't the case. So would you be willing to sacrifice that in some cases for investment? I'm just throwing it out there.
We've got a family culture. I don't think we've got an identity at the moment, Jack. I think we had an identity at the start of the season, but I think that identity has gone missing. People forget that someone has to want to buy the club. And also, I think people think that Delia wants to keep the club and keep it forever and ever and ever. Like, of course, Delia knows that we need money to actually stay in the Premier League. Of course, she knows that. Of course, she knows that. I know she knows that. Yeah, I don't think you can blame Delia for this. I don't, because Delia hasn't got the money. She's put all of her peanuts into this football club. And by the way, she saved this football club. Yeah. And you look at Bury and you look at Bolton. So please don't go down the Delia road with me, Jack, tonight, because I can't do it, because my head will blow off between my shoulder blades. I can't talk about Delia tonight. This game in isolation has to be down to Daniel Farke and his players, and they have to come out and they have to take responsibility and accountability, Jack. They have to.
Yeah, no, I completely echo what you said, Chris.
I really need to interrupt you, Jack. I'm really sorry about that. But something I've been burning to say, which I've just remembered, and let me know in the comments if you agree with me, by the way. We lack leaders, yeah? And the leaders that we have are injured. Or there's one, I mean, Tim Krul is at the back, but you need a spine, yeah? And I hate looking back in time and going, oh, back in the day. But you look at that team, the Grant Holt Premier League team, okay? Now, Grant Holt, top of the spine, definition of leader. Bradley Johnson in midfield, definition of a leader. Russ Martin, centre-back, we all know that Russ Martin was coming to the end of his career at his time in the Premier League, but a proper leader, yeah? A leader of men, someone that gets the team going, someone that will get a red card, that will take someone out, that will put their blood and body on the line for their football club. Tim Krul's that leader, okay? But if you don't have those leaders in your team, you're not going to survive in the Premier League. And we've lacked that this season, Jack. Apart from Tim Krul at the back, can you honestly can you identify a single other leader, true leader, that's on that pitch at the moment?
No, I think you're right. And that's, Tim Krul has been the one that's been lauded as a leader. And I think that's why he's been so well, loved and praised this season. But I think you do need them throughout the pitch, don't you? Just quickly back on that Delia point, I completely echo what you said, and I've got all the love and admiration for Delia, and this isn't her fault, right? And she said on multiple occasions, if the right person comes in, she will sell. As you say, she has put everything into this football club, and the fact that we're even in the Premier League is admirable, considering you look at some of the clubs below us in the Championship, Leeds, there are big clubs who haven't been able to get into the position that we have, and that is because of the sacrifice and the money that's been put into the club. But all I'm saying is, and I don't necessarily hold the opinion, if you do want to go on to the next step, and that next step for us is competing in the Premier League instead of coming up, going back down. We've got the Yo-Yo Club, name tag for a very good reason. You do need more money than what Delia's got. It's as simple as that. If I want a Lamborghini, I'm going to need a bit more money.
Yeah, but
right?
Jack, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. So I don't really understand why we keep banging on about it. Everyone knows about it.
Because I don't think there is a criticism for Delia. I think people.
Mate,
I don't think there is on a grand scheme of things. I think people do have respect for it. I think where the frustration lies is that we get into this position and the same thing happens every time. That's where the frustration lies.
Of course, and I get that, and I do get that, but right. Let's move on from Delia because I can't take it tonight. I think I genuinely believe that we are at the point now where we need to stand up and take responsibility and be brave. We
Let's take a few more. Yeah. Let's take a few more comments, and thank you for everyone who's tuned in tonight. The reaction to these has been really positive, which is, I guess, one good thing to take from it. Okay, this changes the mood slightly, so I admire the optimism. This comes in from Chaz Tats. We're forgetting that we weren't supposed to go up last season. Webber said it was a 4-year plan to get into the Premier League. It was a surprise for everyone. Also, get Stiepermann on if we need a midfield leader. I agree on the Stiepermann point. I think he does need to play. I think that, as I've said multiple times, the success last season, he was a big part of that. His goals, his leadership, his carrying of the ball from the midfield. And to a point, I agree with that first point. We were ahead of the curve, but just because we're ahead of the curve doesn't then mean that we have to fail at the next point of the curve. So, look, I kind of get it. Going up before we plan to go up, it's hard to prepare in the manner that we probably would have liked to have done. but it's not an excuse. I'm bored of excuses now.
Yeah, agreed, Jack. Agreed. I'm tired of it. I'm absolutely tired of it. I want to ask the people, the great people that are watching this stream right now, who they would try and keep, because I think we're in this point now, Jack, where we're going to have to sell our best players.
Well, they're going to go, aren't they? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and people screamed at me for saying this before against Liverpool, and I'm so sorry, but I'm going to put myself under a dodgy situation again because I saw it again. Emi Buendia tonight, exceptionally talented footballer, and I love him to bits. But when you go straight down the tunnel, you don't shake I don't shaking hands, fist bumps, whatever. There was no eye contact with anyone straight down the tunnel. And I'm not saying that's Emi Buendia's attitude, but I think it says a lot about how the players feel about what's going on at the moment. And we've heard rumours about Moritz Leitner and what's been going on with that situation. And would you play him now? I mean, I think that, but for me, I'm now really seriously worried that we're going to have to. I know that Stuart Webber's talking a fantastic game about keeping all of our best players, but I think it's not going to be difficult. It's going to be so difficult, and they'll if we lose Jack, Max, Jamal, Todd, and
Emi, Ben,
mate, they're I mean, even Timu Pukki. I could see Timu Pukki being persuaded. By the way. I just don't see how we're going to muster an attempt to bounce back into the Premier League again. So I'm seriously worried. And this is why, from now until the end of the season, we need to see a true fighting desire to prove to the supporters that they're as good as we know that they are. Because at the moment, they're damaging their legacy. Do you remember like all of the great teams that have gone by that have won the championship for us, Jack? You look at them in a good light, don't you? I think it's fair to say that you do. You go to the Premier League, you get a few what I would call part-timers, people there for the Premier League money, the likes of Leroy Fer, etc. And those are the people that get criticised. But at the moment, if these players continue in the form that they're in, their legacy is going to be damaged. And as a player, that would really hurt me inside, knowing that I won a trophy for a football club, but knowing that because as a collective unit, we're being an embarrassment. That's damaging. That's so damaging.
No, I agree, man. And the thing that I'm struggling to comprehend at the moment is the fact that we've got Todd Cantwell, Jamal Lewis, Max Aarons, Ben Godfrey, Emi Buendia, all of these players, you would probably, give a 20 million plus sale price to, right? Yet why are we seeing performances in this manner? Are they as good as we think? Or does it come down to the fact that we've got all of these individuals that we know work as a team because we saw it last season, but for whatever reason we can't get the best out of them this season? So does it fall more on Daniel Farke? I don't know.
See, this is it, Jack. And a lot of people are saying, it's over, give up, may as well just not bother anymore and all this stuff. Actually, I think there's a lot more on this than people realise. And I'm not just talking about, our position in the league table, because that's all but sealed. But I'm talking about the future of our club for the next 2 or 3 seasons can be decided based on player performances from now to the end of the season, Jack. And it's not just down to the players. The manager needs to play them in positions that they should be in, and needs to play his best team to allow the others to shine. Because Anel Hernandez tonight didn't shine as much because he didn't have anyone to give the ball to. Timu Pukki couldn't shine tonight because he wasn't even on the pitch. Todd Cantwell he wasn't even on the pitch. These are players that have been the highlight of our season. This is the game that you have to bounce. People talk about the bounce back ability, Jack. People recognise a great team when you lose a game and you bounce back and you put in a real hearty, gritty performance and you nick an own goal or something like that. That's a football team. That's a football team, and we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that at the moment. But the reason why we didn't bounce back tonight, Jack, I don't necessarily think it's the players. I think it's the starting line. I honestly do think tonight Daniel Farke got it wrong.
No, he did. No, completely. I think we're, talking on that bounce back ability, even within a game, we're the only team, I think, in the whole Premier League to not pick up a point from a losing position. On the flip side, if we only took into consideration first half results, we'd be fourth. So it shows there is something going seriously, seriously wrong, that we, one, can't bounce back from losing positions, and two, can't hold on to a lead. I'm going to shout out my mum because she's always watching. So hi, Mum. She says, when Chris Gorham started talking hairstyles with Darren Eady on Radio Norfolk, it made me feel he'd lost attention with the game. Look, if Chrissy Gorham's going on about hairstyles, we're in big trouble.
Well, what about the commentator tonight talking about Norwich Cathedral and the castle on the hill that was supposedly Ed Sheeran? So now all of a sudden, by the way, I'd be furious if I was an Ipswich fan watching that. We've literally just claimed Ed Sheeran and that song, which was quite hilarious. But Jack, you know what? You're right. I know that's such a random, funny anecdote there, but it says a lot about the quality of football. And look, it was a hot day today, but I'm not I'm not accepting that as an excuse. I am not accepting that as an excuse. You play the ball, you zip the ball about, and I saw on numerous occasions today by multiple players a real lack of movement. And maybe, I think I'm entitled to say this now, Jack. What was the game plan today? Can you see as a supporter what the game plan was today? What was it? What were we doing?
I think for me, it was try and solidify things from what we saw against Southampton, which worked to an extent. We conceded less goals if we're going on, very, top line stats, but there was no creativity going forwards. At least in that Southampton game, in the opening 10 minutes, it looked like we were going to score a goal. Tonight, it didn't. I think this has been relatively on the negative side of things tonight, and rightly so. That reflects the mood throughout the fan base. But D-Jam. We played a gung-ho possession-based style last season where the defence was forgotten about. This season, that style has been shown up against higher quality players. It will still work in the Championship. Look, football fans are very short-minded, and we forget that, when you go through a little lose and run, you forget how good it once was. So, look, let's reassess. We don't know when next season starts. We don't know how a transfer window looks. We are jumping ahead of ourselves. What we do know at the moment is the last two performances have been incredibly below par, and unfortunately that will damage opinions.
100%, Jack. And you know me, it hurts me to be negative. I hate it, but it's almost bursting out of me tonight because I can't sit back. I don't think we should just skate over this. I don't think you can put paper over the cracks here, Jack. I think there needs to be a real deep dive assessment of what has gone wrong this season. And maybe, and by the way, I think they probably know already. Of course they know already. But I think it's now time to be very honest and public with the fans and say, look, this is where we've gone wrong this season. We understand the position we're in, but rest assured, we will fight. We will do everything we can to make you proud from now to the end of the season. But without that message, I can totally understand why everyone's negative, why everyone gets on the players and managers' back and starts blaming the board. You've got to start. Seriously, there needs to be some sort of message after this. And you have to. You have to be honest with the fans now. It's time. And I think the fans have backed the players and the team really well this season, considering circumstances. Barren runs, not scoring goals. There's missed chances, VAR decisions, things going against our way, loads of injuries, and I think the fans have been there, Jack. And I think the fans, and I'm talking now. And hopefully by the time that potentially people watch this back, there's already been a message to Daniel Farke and the club to say, look, we're really sorry. We fucked this, and we will do everything we can to make it up to you. Let's see how much of a football club we are. This period now is key, and it's key for our future. I'm not talking about this season, Jack. I'm talking about the next 2 or 3 seasons will be precedented by this period. We have to set our stall out, and we really need to be brave. We have to be truthful who we are and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, agree. And it's why Stuart Webber has got such a good reputation in football and with Norwich fans is because of his transparency and his honesty. I'm sure Stuart will be absolutely fuming with what he's seen on the pitch. I'm sure he'll be desperately disappointed about the work that he's done this season that hasn't, come to fruition. I love Stuart. He's one of my favourite people, and I'm so glad he's at the helm of the football club. But, good people get it wrong sometimes, and unfortunately there have been questionable decisions this time around. Right, we'll get one more comment, and then we're going to go.
And then we're going to go to sleep and forget this ever happened.
Did you use your bottle? You did use your bottle opener tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've only had a couple of beers tonight, mate. I need to go to sleep after this and try.
Maybe that's the issue we've got here. That's just an unlucky charm.
Stop Chris drinking campaign. Bring back.
I'm going to go out with a comment that makes me desperately sad, but unfortunately that's been the way it's gone tonight. Cameron Gibbon. If we'd beaten Southampton and Everton, would be equal on points with West Ham and Bournemouth. Look, we've had so many winnable games this season. I look back to Southampton away, in which we should have won. Just so many games in which we should have at least got a point from that we haven't, and even turned up in. And I guess that's the story of the season.
Mate, honestly, there's been countless games. Bournemouth away, there for the taking. I remember that well. But there's been
Crystal Palace at home.
There's only been and shout me down if I'm wrong, I can only really remember 3 times where we've been completely rolled over this season. One of them was Aston Villa at home. The other one was Manchester United away. And the other one was possibly Liverpool away on the first game of the season. Can't remember any others. So we're losing in such fine margins. And that's the disappointing thing. You know what's annoying me, Jack? We're not actually that shit. We're just losing games by such fine margins consistently. So we're consistently poor, but I kind of wish that we were just so woeful that we had something or someone to blame, but we don't really.
I think there's nothing more, annoying in life than just being average. A
lot of people are saying Wolves away, which is a great shout. I forgot about that. That was absolutely abysmal. I agree.
Yeah, that was another game in which we didn't show up. Right. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. We will be back for the Manchester United game, so we will see you then. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Twitter, head over to YouTube and hit subscribe. By doing that and clicking the notification bell, you will get alerted when we go live, and we'll be doing these throughout the entirety of this season.
Jack, are we going to reveal to our audience what we're going to be doing for the FA Cup game that's a bit different?
I tell you what, if this video gets to 300 likes, we'll let them know.
Wow. Okay, it's over to you guys. But I hope you're all enjoying streams. These streams could well turn into counselling sessions before too long. So let us know in the comments if you need some help.
That works for me. It's good to chat. Thanks very much for watching, people, and we'll see you very soon. Bye bye.